What's up, everybody? Welcome to the High Level Husband Podcast. I'm Tommy McAllister, and I'm going all in on this one because that's the theme of this one: is what it looks like to actually go all in your marriage, in life, but particularly in your marriage, and where most people get it wrong. We see this all the time where so many people hit us up and they're like, "Well, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this, and it's just not working." It's because you're doing all the wrong things. Well, what are these wrong things? So many people think that, like, man, I've been doing the dishes and I've been helping out around the house and I started giving her a foot rub and all this other stuff. And it's just not, man, like, just not helping out. Like, I don't know. She just doesn't appreciate it. And I'm doing all the things. Like, dude, those things right there, buying flowers, giving them a card, writing them a poem, doing all of that stuff means almost absolutely nothing. It's like this. That's like having an amazing cookie and then putting some sprinkles on the top of it. It could make it better, but it also might not make it any worse. It might make it worse. It might make it just the same, just a little bit different. So many men, and this could go for women too, think that's the foundation. Oh man, like I'm helping out around the dishes and I'm giving them foot rubs. I'm doing this, that, and that. Like that's everything. No, you're like, that's nothing. That means absolutely nothing. What's so funny about this, and we get lots of DMs from people all over the place, and and I do appreciate it. So please, if you haven't DM'd me and you're planning on it, like, no, don't feel like I'm going to make fun of you or go be an a-hole to you or anything. That no, these are just things that are for teachable moments for you. Had somebody DM me, and that's kind of the theme for this one is why, because I just messaged them back, and um, I was telling Diane that this guy messaged me. Well, here's the thing. He had messaged me a year ago to the exact date almost, telling me how bad his marriage was. So we talked with him, going back and forth, troubleshoot a little bit. And I said, hey, man, if you're interested, it sounds like you'd be a good fit to get some coaching because these things aren't going good in your life. Of course, he never took action and booked a call or anything like that. A year later, he's in a worse spot. And I can tell you that happens almost all the time that I get for these people who come back a year later and they're still in the same spot because nothing's ever going to change. People think they're going to do it on their own. Can you do it on your own? Yes, but it's a very small percentage of how that's going to actually happen. And so anyways, he comes back and he tells me, I need some advice and blah, 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 blah. So I give him a little advice. I sent him the link for this podcast and I said, hey man, go listen to a podcast, get some good ideas. I didn't even talk about coaching anymore because I already knew before he's not an action taker. So I wasn't even going to waste my time with that, but also just wanted to serve him with the podcast. And he tells me, it's just getting worse and all of that. And I said, well, what have you been doing? He says, man, well, I work a lot, but when I'm home, I've been giving her more foot rubs and I've been doing the dishes and things like that. So I've been definitely going all in. And I said, bro, that ain't going all in. I didn't really go too much because I knew I wasn't going to, push back and forth. Well, about a week goes by, and he comes back and he says, hey man, my wife just told me this morning that she's done, she's leaving. So I'm just like going to have to, so I guess it's time for me to move on. And I was just real with him. I said, brother, I'm going to be real with you. The exact reason you just found out why your marriage isn't going to work or why your marriage isn't working, because you just said, well, I guess it's time to move on. You're not willing to do what it takes. You should never move on, whether that she's still in the house or you're divorced. If you love this person, you need to become the man that you need to become. So eventually you can be that man that she needs in her life and then can lead her to become the woman that she needs to become or complement her. I said, have you gone all in? He says, oh, I definitely have. I said, sweet. And here's like the exact message that I sent back to him, guys. Back to him. I said, have you invested in personal development? If not, that should be in the thousands. How many books have you read? Should be at least 12 or more per year. How many days consecutively have you read the Bible? Should be daily. How many men's groups are you a part of? You should be in one every single week. How much time do you sit and talk deeply with your spouse with no distractions daily? Should be at 20 minutes every single day, non-negotiable. How many times per week are you at the gym? Should be at least 5 days. How many times have you got angry and raised your voice with her? Should be 0. That's all in. And sure, there's more to that. But if you can't say that you've done all of those things, you haven't gone all in. Because what was funny is I told Diane, I said, I didn't tell anything much about this thing, and I said about the back rubs and helping with the dishes, and literally Diane had food in her mouth and almost spit it across the room. She laughed so hard, as if that was important in a marriage. Sure, I said, man, he's babe. This guy says he went so goes all in because he gave her back rubs or foot rubs, and he helps with the dishes every now and then. And she literally laughed like at the top of her lungs, not because she's like what an idiot, but because she's like, man, they don't understand that that does very little, if nothing. Literally, you got to put in so much different. You got to become something totally different. That ain't going to make the marriage differently. I could get this is going to sound bad, but let's put it this way. I have an amazing marriage, right? But let's just say I could get if I just went to, like, I don't know, somebody who's way out of my league, right? And just said, hey, I think we'd be a good fit because I'm going to give you back rubs and do your dishes. She's not going to go, oh my God, like, yes, you're it. You figured it out. You're the one. You're the one for me. Like, no, I'm the one I would need to be the one for them if I was somebody who was super high caliber quality. Like, I led myself well. I had self-confidence, self-love. I love the Lord. I was doing all these things that I just mentioned. Now I'm a catch. You're not a catch if you give somebody a foot rub and you do the dishes. That's called being an adult. Like, you're part of the thing. But what was funny was a few minutes ago, I said to Diane, I said, hey, babe, I'm going to go do a record a podcast on this. I think it'd be good. Um, and she said, on what? And then I said the topic, and she goes, yeah. And I go, remember that guy I was telling you about who said he was doing the back rubs and stuff? She says, yeah. I go, babe, me and you literally have like the most ideal marriage. And I'm not flexing, guys, like I'm perfect in everything in life. There's things that I need to grow at, right? Like, if I need an expert in somebody, like my car, I don't even know how to put air in the freaking tires, right? I go get somebody else to do that for me because they're an expert in that, or change my oil or work on it. Could I get on YouTube and figure it out? Sure. But like, I'm an expert literally in this field. This has been the purpose and passion for my life that God's got me at. But I said, babe, I go, remember that guy? I go, it's so crazy how men and other people think that those things matter. I said, babe, how many times do I give you a foot rub? She says, she's like, none. I go, how much do I help with the dishes? She says, very little. That's not because I'm just laying on the couch watching TV and like smoking weed and like playing golf. That's because I have my other areas of life that I'm dominating. So when Diane knows her role around the house, we've figured that role out. We've talked about that, of like, hey, she likes doing housework. Like, that's just kind of one of those. She's like Monica and Friends. She likes cleaning. Well, guess what? I don't. Will I do it if I know my wife loves it? Absolutely. Do I still do it from time to time? Absolutely. And I'll read the room on that. Or if I literally have nothing to do in that moment that I need to be doing in other areas, I'll go and do that. But she knows specifically that me sitting and watching a podcast and growing personally, or working on some content, or messaging one of our clients, or doing something else is more important than me coming and helping with the dishes. And she recognizes that I'm over there growing and becoming a better person, or I'm doing something, or maybe I just got done doing that and I'm actually going to take a breather for a few, which I rarely do. She's like, go do it. Yesterday, I don't really watch very much TV. I used to watch so much football, but I rarely do anymore. And yesterday I said, babe, is it cool if I watch some football today? I go, the Bills are playing the Chiefs, and I'm a Bills fan. And I go, is it cool if I watch some football? Not that she's the boss or I'm the boss. It's just out of respect. I asked her that, and I said, babe, is it cool if I watch the Bills game today? They play at 1. She's like, yeah, absolutely. And then guess what she was doing that time? Vacuuming the house, like doing a bunch of other stuff. Did I feel guilty? No. She said, yo, go do you, dude. Like, so there's those moments. But you know how many times per day Diane says, man, you're so amazing. Thank you for all you do for our family. Because right now, we just got back from the gym. She's down eating lunch. I skipped lunch so I could come up here and record this podcast. And she's like, babe, thanks so much for what you do for the family. Could have I just sat down with some lunch and maybe turned on the TV and watched some TV and stuff? Sure. Because I've worked all morning, and yes, going to the gym for us is work because that helps us be more proficient for our clients and lead by example. But the drive there and the drive home, what was I doing? Working. Because Diane's the driver of the family because she has an inner ear disorder where she can't be a passenger, so she's the driver. So what do? On the drive to the gym, I work. On the drive home to the gym, I message clients. I'm working. She sees that. And when I'm messaging clients, she sees the way I'm talking to them. And she's like, dude, that was so good. Just yesterday, I was, it was probably 2 days ago, I delivered like just this message to one of our clients. And she was like, when I got done, she was like, babe, that was so freaking good. Well, what did that client do? Reach back out. And this dude has a major following, owns a bunch of big old businesses, and is connected with some of the biggest names. He said, that was some of the best coaching I've ever heard. But who was the first one to tell me that? My wife. Who's the one I feel care more about getting it from? My wife. That's what moves the needle forward, is when she's like, yo, the words out of my husband's mouth are like the best. I wasn't born this way. I had to develop it. Through pain, through misery, through investments, through everything, through all that stuff I just told you about. Like, let's go through it. How much should you invest in personal development? Well, in just the past 4 years, me and Diana has invested $95,000, and that's not because we're loaded. And this week alone, we're going to spend another $25,000 on top of that, so that will take us to $120,000 in 4 years. Believe me, we roll one car to this day because we invest our money back. Do you think that $25K could get me a car? Yes. Let's go to the next one. How many books have you read? Well, in the past 4 years, I've probably read close to 100 books. Okay, let's go to the next one. How many consecutive days do you read the Bible? Well, in the past 4 years, well, let's just do this year alone. I think I've missed 1 or 2 days that I haven't read a chapter in the Bible every day. Okay, the same thing for the year before. How many men's groups are you a part of? Right now, I just got out of my mastermind that I was a part of 16 months, but I'm a part of 1, 2, 3 other groups of men. 2 that I lead, actually 3 that I lead. So I'm a part of 4. My bad, 4. 3 that I lead, and I'm a part of another one. And I'm about to spend another $25K this week, which is going to put me in another one. It's a men's and a women one, so I'll be part of 4. That means I'm part of 4 groups, 5 groups per week. How many men's groups are you part of? It should be just 1. Like, if you got 5, sweet. Okay. How much time do you sit and talk deeply with your spouse every day? No distractions. Well, me and Diane, intentionally, where it's just that, probably 30 minutes a night, but we probably end up talking probably close to 2 hours a day, because we don't watch TV, we don't do things like that. That when if she's doing her makeup, I'll be in the bathroom talking with her, or if we're sitting in bed, we'll be in bed talking. Whatever it may be, we'll be doing it. Let's see here. How many times per week do you go to the gym? We go to the gym at least 5 days a week. Obviously, rest days are super important from the gym, so we used to go 5-6 days a week. How many times have you gotten angry or raised your voice? 10 years since I've argued with my wife. 10 years. But yet people say, man, just today I got a message on one of my posts. Man, Diane's, you're truly a blessed man. There's not too many Dianes out there. Has nothing to do with Diane. Because Diane wasn't always this way. I had to become who I had to become. I had to do all of this stuff. Diane did all of this stuff to become who she's become. But it's so cool because everybody looks at her now and says, well, Diane's a unicorn. Guess what? Diane ain't no unicorn. She developed into one. Diane was a piece of clay that was literally average and mediocre. And I'm not dogging my wife. Guess who else was average and mediocre? Me. But our business is called High Level Husband for a reason. It should be called High Level Husband and Wife. It's just shorter and easier that way because I prefer to lead men, even though we do lead women as well. But guess what? High level. I had to become high level if I'm going to have a business called High Level. And I know this sounds braggadocious and egotistical, or no, this is how we all should be living and be proud of ourselves. Don't let this world break down our masculinity and tell us that, man, like, be woke, do all this other BS. No. Man, lead yourself well. If things are hard, push in. The only reason I'm joining that new mastermind was because I said, what's 2024 look like for me? And I planned it out and I said, man, these are the things I want to do. This thing fell in my lap, was exactly that. And I go, that's a lot of money to be just, to invest again. I go, man, I don't know if I want to do it. And I go, it kind of scared me, put a little fear in me. I go, well, that's the reason why I need to do it. Years ago, I couldn't even buy a TV without Diane saying no. You know what Diane said the other day when I was about to, when I was telling her about this mastermind? She goes, "How are you going to join?" Dude, Diane and I still, 99% of our clothes in our closet are from like 5 years ago. Do you think I could buy a whole new wardrobe and all of that stuff for myself and for her and all this other stuff with that? Yeah. But guess what's not going to change? Us. You know what's not going to grow us? Because we're going to push it into fear and courage from that mastermind. If we just go buy clothes and things like that, nothing's going to change. We're actually going to get worse because if you're not growing, you're dying. One day, maybe we'll buy more stuff like that. Maybe. Or maybe not, because we're so high on life every single day, so thankful, so happy, so full of joy, because we just keep growing and stretching ourselves and looking back like, yo, babe, 2 months ago we were doing this, and now look what we're doing in life. Man, I just think and talk like this. I literally wish I had a podcast 10 years ago so you guys could hear the way I was talking. That wasn't this. I wish you had a podcast 4 years ago because I wasn't the way, so you could hear the way I was talking. It wasn't this. Anything's possible. You gotta go all in. Stop rubbing your wife's feet. Stop doing the dishes to think that you're doing enough. You ain't doing enough. That's the sprinkles on the cookie, like I said. Man up, do something hard. Somebody messaged me today. God, I wish I had the finances to be able to work with you guys one-on-one. Yes, it's a hefty investment. But I said, you have the finances. You're just not willing to spend it. I told her the story about us selling our car years ago to be able to invest in our coach 4 years ago. And still to this day, we have one car because of that. And we just keep reinvesting. You have the money, sell your car. That would scare the crap out of most people. Guess what? That's going to grow you. That's going to make sure you do the work. People want to invest in themselves out of excess. Well, this month we only have an extra $50, so that's about what we can spend. Good. You know what? $50, there's going to be some templates out there that you can get that are going to be able to grow you, but you're not going to get one-on-one access with nobody that's high level. Now, high level people can create those templates. You're just not going to get access to them. And if you do the work, they'll change you. Most people who only are willing to spend $50 won't do the work. You could spend $0 on coaching, and there's plenty of free info on social media from high-level people. Do the work. Your life will change. Most people won't. But when you sell a car to do that, guess what? You'll do the work. And guess what? Your life will change. I'm just telling you, stop buying cards, rubbing the feet, doing all that other stuff. And if you do it as an added bonus with zero expectations and any of that, and start doing the things that really matter. Who do you need to become? You need to ask yourself, who do you need to become? The answer is somebody different. Well, I don't know my purpose. I don't know that. Well, how do you find out your purpose? By moving. You start taking action in a specific direction. Eventually it'll correct. It's just like a GPS in a car. Like, you know how sometimes it's like you're in a parking lot and it doesn't know which way. So it's like, well, all right, I'm just going to go and I'm going to take a right here. It'll course correct. It'll do that. That's how life is when you're trying to find purpose and meaning and all of that stuff. That's why me and Diane started off as fitness and nutrition coaches. Do I love fitness and nutrition? It's one of my biggest part of my life, that I love health and biohacking and all of that. That's not where God wanted us. As we were growing in that, he then took us to mindset. He then started taking us more and more relationship. Now it's mainly relationship and personal development, but no relationship will ever be good without personal development. I promise you that. Because the Bible says you must love your neighbor as you love yourself. Keyword, as you love yourself. If you don't love yourself, by the way you love yourself is by having personal development, accomplishing things, going to bed every single night a champion and waking up a champion, being proud because you're stretching yourself every year, doing more and more uncomfortable things. When you do that, guess what? You're proud of yourself, and so is everybody else around you because they see you're growing. And then when that happens, it becomes attractive. Push all in. It's the end of 2023. Push all in. The thing that I'm coaching on all my clients this week is, how are you going to stretch yourself in 2024? Like, what's the thing we're going to put on the plate right now that's going to stretch you, that's going to scare you? For us, it's spending that $25K and joining this new mastermind. And then that mastermind is just not us just showing up and hearing motivational speeches. It's being able to do a tremendous amount of work that we're going to put behind that. on how to get on bigger stages and speak, on how to put out our first book, on how to like do all these other crazy things, on how to take our business that we already have and impact more people. That's going to require a lot of effort. It's going to stretch me. But that we got to be able to do that while keeping life in order of God, self, marriage, kids. When you do that, good things happen. But if you all of a sudden we take business, which is the fifth, and put that at number one, we'll be stressed. If life is stressed, why do you think it is? Because you're out of order. If you have anxiety, it's because your life's out of order. If you don't have joy, it's because life's out of order. If your marriage sucks, it's because life out of order. Get the order and structure in place and you're good forever. So, love you. I'm telling you, there's so much more waiting for you when you're willing to just become courageous, when you're just ready to be pushed into fear, when you're ready to look in the mirror and say, you know what, I'm kind of freaking dropping the ball. I'm doing the bare minimum. Well, guess what? Nobody's probably ever taught you that back rubs and dishes mean nothing. Most people have never seen a good marriage. Most people didn't come from a family that had a good marriage. And most people didn't, and if you did, you probably didn't recognize a ton of what they were doing. But I guarantee you know what they were doing, spending a lot of time talking with each other. Number one, quality time, loving on each other, doing a lot of that stuff that I was talking about. Now, back in the day, there wasn't fitness and things like that weren't as imperative, but also back in the day, people weren't obese. Now they are. 65%. 97% of people have a physical or mental illness. It's crazy. Why? Because most men aren't masculine anymore. Don't fall for that woke BS. Let's get it. God asks for more of you. Lean on Jeremiah 29, for I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not harm you. Plans for hope and a future. And go read Joshua 1:9. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Be strong and courageous. Guess what? Another translation, it says, what if you did nothing but be strong and courageous? Because it says, do nothing but be strong and courageous. What if every day that's all you did was push it into fear? How many times have you told your wife that you're scared? How many times have you really told your wife that it hurts when you don't have intimacy and you haven't told it to her in a negative way, or you pulled back and all these things and you explain to her why you really need it, but you're doing it in a loving way? How many times have you told about these hopes and the dreams that you're going to go do, and then she sees you taking action on them and actually achieving them? How many times have you just talked about these books that you're reading and all these other things that you're doing? How many times have you actually spoke about your feelings? Very rare. I'm working with somebody right now, and the two implementations that I got for him, literally, this is how simple I have to break it down for somebody. And this guy owns 5 businesses that are big. Bro, give your wife a hug every day. And the hardest one for him, and he loves God, is to pray with his wife every day. He literally, by me asking him to do that, literally feels like I'm asking him to drown himself and have somebody come revive him. That's how fearful it is for him to just pray. Why is praying scary? Because you have to get vulnerable. You have to speak out loud. And this guy owns major businesses. When you start doing the things that scare you the most, which is vulnerability, good things happen. Foot rubs, dishes, that ain't doing a dang thing. Your wife wants your heart and your time. Much love. God bless y'all.